Loading. There we go. And three, two, one. So what's going on, y'all? It is Common Sense. We are back. This is actually our first live stream podcast slash YouTube video. So we're gonna be doing this from here on out. We got a nice setup, and yeah, we're about to kick it off with a really controversial topic that's been kind of going around these days. And first off, we're gonna let Baby Daddy kick it off. Go ahead on and give me A-libs, handles, everything like that. Tell us what's been going on and fatherhood and all that good, lovey-dovey ass shit.
Yeah, so you guys, you can definitely check me out. See Julius Workout on Instagram, also on YouTube, and obviously on Common Sense, the podcast as well as on Instagram. So we're always putting out fire content, just trying to provide you guys with different perspective on just different topics that affect a broad range of different topics. So yeah.
Yeah, sorry for all that extra little bit of feedback. I apologize. That was me. I had to turn my mic down a little bit though, but it should be good now. Yeah, so this is your boy Shop P90, also now known as Anime Swag Fitness. As you've been seeing me on my YouTube channel, we've been trying to grind them out, more and more, hoodies. Summertime, so I'm trying to get a little bit of more summer swag going on. We got a couple of like two pieces coming out here shortly as well too. From a couple of the shows, so definitely stay tuned to that. And then Bigger Got Fashion, you already know, you see me out here on these platforms all the time. So like I said, we're starting it off. This episode is going to be, are you black enough? Right? So, me and, CJ, we were just talking about, well, you ain't CJ, actually, technically, you know what I'm saying? Now we actually have CJ, so I can't be saying that because I don't want my nephew to get me hemmed up and not him just, he already came out with a six-pack and shit, so... they look, see, he heard me talking about him. Yeah, so this is are you black enough? And we already know, especially in the black community, we already got like a whole bunch of stereotypes like, oh, if you're black, you have to be like this, or if you're black, you have to, if you're black, you gotta dance, if you're black, you get a basketball, if you're black, you got a big dick. Well, to be fair, that's the one we don't say anything about. But the reality is a lot of these stereotypes are really like, holding a lot of us back, in my opinion. So CJ, you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna let you go ahead on and take it out.
Yeah, man, I feel you on that. Like that's one of the things that like always bother me, like in our community, is that like we have these stereotypes that like we'll get mad about like other communities saying about us, but in our community we have to actually live by them, and they're nonsensical. It's just so like we get example right, per example, right? So let's say you're talking to like so in our community, right, I've heard people say things like it's more difficult or insinuate it's more difficult to take care of a child like with a husband, or excuse me, with a man, than to take care of by itself. Like it's by the kid by itself. Like basically insinuating that it makes more sense it's just easier to have a kid. Like I can have a kid and not be with the dude. And it doesn't make sense. It's like, why would you like
So let me hold on. I'm just
why
trying
would
to.
you want to have a kid and not be with somebody? Why would you not want to split up the responsibility? It's just ignorant.
So let me clarify what you're saying, right? Just to like kind of like make sure, right?
Yeah.
So what you're saying is that women are saying that it's actually easier to have a kid and raise it by itself as opposed to being in a two-person relationship, whether it's a marriage or just relationship. I just want to make sure I got that right.
Yeah, and actually, no, you're clarifying what I'm saying, but let me restate what I'm saying, because I don't think they're saying it's easier. I hope not. That's just completely ridiculous. But they
would
to
rather.
me, it seems like they're perfectly comfortable separating the old belief that you were to get married, have kids. They're perfectly fine with saying, well, I want a baby, and I don't really necessarily need to have the man to do that. Like, you know what I'm saying? Maybe you can clarify it, because I'm not trying to say that I don't think they think it's easier. I hope not. But either way, the outcome is stupid.
Well, so it doesn't. I don't think they think it's so. So based on what you're saying again before, I don't think they think it's easier. I think they would rather do it as opposed to trying to make it work. Now, I could be wrong. Like I said before, I could be wrong, but I think that maybe for the lady's standpoint is that the guy that they picked ain't shit, right? So he ain't got no job. He's being a bum. He doesn't want to do everything right. So it's easier to just do it by themselves as opposed to deal with that guy. as opposed to with like a guy like me or like you or something like that, where we're going to try to like, pitch in as much
Okay,
as
well, yeah,
possible.
based on that, then yes, then my statement of saying is easier does make sense. I guess I'm
Okay,
thinking
all right.
perspective of if the person's an upstanding man and you vetted him for marriage, then yeah, then that doesn't make any sense. But I guess the issue
No, it
is if
doesn't. Yeah.
you're not vetting this man for marriage and you're having a baby with him, then it's like, okay, well, like you sit there thinking, well, he ain't got no job now. Because I was watching what is the Lapeef network and I don't know, Chevelle Sharon, whatever the hell her name is. She this topic came up and she was basically saying that effectively she was saying that, like I had a baby with a dude, but I wasn't sure about like his financial situation so afterwards. So she was like, I can have a kid, but I ain't gotta stay with the guy. And it's just like what? Like,
So,
you
so
fucking
I think that
moron. Like, why
no,
would
well,
you
I'm
want
not
to
even
go?
going to get.
It doesn't make sense
So
to
this is
me.
what,
Like
and I think that there's a
fine. You know what? Let me not use a topic like that. That's controversial. Let me use something
no,
simple.
no. Actually, that's a great, but we need to use that topic because that's the average topic that people don't want to talk about. Because what usually happens that is that like there's a guy who gets with a girl, whatever, right? You know what I'm saying? Meet him at the club, the alley, whatever the fuck it is, right? Boom, boom, boom. You fucking for a while, some good dick, some good pussy, whatever you want to say, right? Get pregnant, boom. Usually, we already know what conversation's happening. Guys like, oh, I don't really, I'm not really in a great position, but blank, get my money right or whatever. Girls like, I just can't see myself just getting rid of this baby. Cool, right? Baby comes out 9 months later, right? And then it's like she expects for him to step up and do what he's supposed to do, right? And the reason why she expects for him to step up and do what he's supposed to do is because she is forced to because of the fact that she's carrying a child within her own body, right? And the converse is that men are really under like no obligation. You say what you want about it, and from somebody whose pops was gone, his entire life, you know what I'm saying? Like they really don't have to whatsoever. Like that man told you he didn't want to be a father and you decide to have the baby anyway. Your choice, right? Not saying anything, like negative against it. But the reality is that this is the most common situation in the United States, especially in African American community, is that it's usually one party saying, with other. And I know you personally probably know people that are, going through the exact same situation or have had that situation happen to them. And then it's too late. The baby's already here. It is what it is. So I definitely think, and I've always said this, and I can say this because I've traveled, so much and seen so much between, like Southeast Asia, right, down by the border, from Mexico, even overseas to like, Eastern and Western Europe. And I stand by this statement: men and women in America, especially in the African American community, are not raised to be husbands and wives. They're not. On both ends. Like men are not taught to be, especially in our community, are not taught to be husbands. Women, on the other hand, in our African American community, are taught to like pretty much be the opposite, to be independent, and that's what frustrates people so much is the fact that from both sides, like the man is willing, the man or the woman, right? The woman is saying that she wants to have the baby, she wants to keep the baby. Now, the problem is, and my uncle always told me this, he said that if you are willing to lay down and have sex with somebody without a condom, then you better be damn sure that you're actually okay with having a baby with them. And usually what is happening is, and everybody who's been sexually, intimate already knows this, like sex with a condom and sex without a condom, it's like a huge like night and day difference. It's like not even funny, right? So when somebody's with somebody for like an extended period of time, it's kind of just like, well, this is kind of where I'm at. Like, I really want to just, keep doing this. And then, unfortunately, 9 months later, a baby comes out and then it's like where it's already here. I have a friend that this very similar situation happened that I was, in Washington. And he was young. I think he was 23. And the girl, right, was about the same age, 22, 23, something like that, right? And they were, just hooking up, like, just doing what young people do, right? Just hooking up or whatever, right? And it was sad and it was unfortunate because they were hooking up. And then, of course, wasn't using any condoms, right? And then a girl and get them pregnant. The exact same scenario that I just laid out is what happened. And then he was young and immature. He was getting out of the Navy, right? He didn't have any job prospects whatsoever. And he said that he didn't want to have the baby. She said she didn't want to have the baby. And then, of course, her body, her choice. So then, he was stuck with a kid, his daughter, right? And unfortunately, that's where it's like, hey, you have the power to choose as a woman what you want to do with your body, right? Then this kind of how we end up in these situations, because you knew damn well he was not financially set up to take care of a kid. He wasn't emotionally set up to take care of a kid. You knew he was immature when you were fucking him, but you just thought he was cute, right? And you thought he was attractive, and he has a good dick. So that's kind of the issue that we have in our communities, that we're so focused on like physical attraction and chemistry sometimes, but we don't do a good job of like picking partners, right? Especially when it comes to young women, because they have their pick of the litter at those ages, between ages of like 18 to like 24. You know what I'm saying?
No, I feel you. It's just so stupid. I get what you're saying, but it's dumb. Like I cannot
Okay.
like we gotta have this discussion, and bro, I'm gonna bring on a female. I know she's gonna be mad at me when I ask these questions, because I know like my thought. This is what I think, right? Is that like
I'm
in
gonna
the
get
moment
Coco up
they're having
here.
fun, right? But then once the baby gets here and they start thinking, they're like, "Yo, I know deep down they're like, I'm a fucking moron." They'll never come
I
out
don't
and say
know.
that.
I don't know. Maybe
They'll
that is
never
how
come
they
out and
feel.
say
But
that, but I guarantee you they know they're fucking stupid. Because it doesn't
I
make sense.
mean,
It's like it doesn't make sense to take care of a child with one person. It doesn't. Like
yeah.
it just doesn't add up.
But you also know that more, like Emmanuel Acho, he said this too. He said more is caught than is taught. You know what that means?
You said what again?
So his famous saying is more is caught than is taught in regards to children, right? So if a child grows up in a single parent household, right? And then their grandmother was a single parent as well, too, right? So it's two generations they're growing up thinking that it's completely normal to be raised into a single parent household, because that's all they've ever known. Conversely, right? If it was the opposite and everybody was married growing up, then they're going to think that that's the norm. And people want to say, no, that's not true. I'm like, it really is. I will never forget, I was dating a young woman when I was over in Europe, right? She was from Egypt. Great girl, amazing. I have nothing negative to say about her, right? And a friend of hers um, was dating a guy, and very well off. The family was very well off, right? She was dating a guy, and then another friend was not. And so over there, they don't move. The women there don't move out. Most of the people there, they don't move out of their parents' house unless they are married, right? And so then she explained this to me, and I was like, "Well, what if they don't get married?" And she was like, "Why wouldn't she be able to get married?" Like, she was serious when she said it too. Like, it did not register in her head that like, hey, some people, like, it's like what I just said to her was like a foreign language. It's like, no, she's going to get married. Like, why would she not get married? Like, there's nothing wrong with her. You know what I'm saying? As a conversely here, if you would ask that same question, a lot of women, who in their 30s or like 40s, especially in the African American community, they're like, yeah, man, some people don't get married. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, so that's what I'm saying. Like,
No, yeah, I agree with that. Like, I know what I feel, I'm sure it's, Kevin Samuels would say. I'm guessing he got statistics from
okay.
probably from like the
Yeah.
what is it, the what's that thing in Atlanta, the CDC probably posted stuff. It was like one in
Oh yeah,
four
yeah,
black
yeah.
women will never get married. No,
I believe
sorry.
it.
No, only 1 in 4 black women will get married. Or yeah, it's bad. Yeah. So,
Mm-hmm.
but to
Yeah,
me, it's
I
just
believe
like I get what you're saying. Like I agree with that statement. It's just like for me, it's like I grew up in a single parent household. Maybe because I'm a man, maybe I have to live in reality. I'm just like, yo, there's no way I'm trying to take care of a kid by myself. Like, no way I'm trying to do that shit.
Well, it's different for men. Men have never once, no matter how bad you may have gotten things with you, and you know this as a parent now, right? You never once will be like, no matter how mad you got at your wife, even if God forbid you ever get divorced, you would never say, "Oh, I don't need her," right? Because every man knows that a boy or a girl needs his mother, right? Now, on the flip side, women unfortunately usually try to say, hey, he doesn't need, like, the child doesn't need the father, right? Men don't do that because we know that they need their mother, period. But I don't think that like fathers are as highly valued to women in our community, or even outside of our community, like as much as women are.
That makes sense. That makes sense. I mean, I think we definitely agree on it. I'm just trying to. So okay. So we talked about that one. So let me give you one that always used to bother me growing up. I know y'all see me with the glasses, 4 eyes, as that stupid ass
Oh, you
fucking
see,
statement was.
look, that's why I wore mine on purpose too, yo. For I'm like, yeah, what's good, yeah, and I'm looking, I'm still 220, what's good, you know what I'm saying?
So okay, so this is one I've always, and maybe someone in the chat can explain this to me, please. Why do black people? Why do they equate? Why don't they equate like? Why do they equate athletic ability with things that don't insinuate athletic ability? Like I don't fucking
But
get it, and it doesn't make sense.
but you,
Somebody please
but
explain this
but
to me.
but you deep down, I think you do understand it, right? And I think that we're saying this because we are in pretty good shape and we work on a regular basis, right? You are naturally athletic to an extent, right? You may not have been big, but you always had like good athletic genes, right?
Yeah.
I did not, however, though. I did not inherit any good athletic genes. The only thing I inherited from my father was the ability to gain muscle at a rapid pace, but I still had to work for it. I was never naturally muscular. I had to work at it, though. You see what I'm saying? Now, if you were physically okay, cool. Prime example, right? And this is really gonna help, right? If I was to look at um if I was to look at Bradley Martin, you know who Bradley Martin is, right?
Yeah.
If
Yeah,
I was to
that's
look
really part of this.
yeah, right. If I was to look at Bradley Martin, right, or if I was to look at Eddie Hall, right, who do you think physically, right? Other people would say who knew nothing about them. Who would you think that they would say is stronger?
Bradley Martin,
But who is stronger?
the other dude.
Eddie Hall. Not even. Not even. That's not even trying to like. Make no mistake. Bradley Martin is the strongest motherfucker, right? You know what I'm saying? Eddie Hall is stronger. Like pound for pound, he is stronger. Period. You know what I mean? But that's because of the fact that people really believe what is ingrained to them when they're coming up in childhood, right? So we were taught that if you have a nice like set of abs and like six pack, that those are like, oh, he's really strong, right? You know what I'm saying? Me and you both know, right? That has nothing to do with strength whatsoever. We know that a lot of the guys that have that like power gut is what we like to call it, right? And then like stocky shoulders and everything like that. We know that motherfucker is usually the strongest one in the gym. We know that, right? It doesn't matter about how good you look. And what matters is that how much like weight you can move. Conversely, right, back to my original point, right? People on the outside, right? They believe that from movies, TV, whatever else it is, right? That the geeky guy, Clark Kent, for example, right? You know what I mean? Who is still Superman? It's the same nigga, right? Who is Superman? But when he's Clark Kent, he's geeky, he puts his glass. How you doing, Lois? Right? You know what I mean? That's literally like ingrained and like they're like low-key like brainwashed, so they don't know any different. So they're just like, oh, if you wearing glasses, you can't ball. Like, you know what I'm saying? What the fuck you talking about? Have you not seen Professor J? Any of these niggas, like, fuck is you talking about? Like, what is my lack of like, you know what I'm saying, like acuity in my eyes have anything to do with me being able to D somebody up? It has no bearing whatsoever. And as adults, right, me and you know this, but people who still live in this little box that they like put themselves in our community, they will really let somebody think that. Even cats like me, they see me, they're like, oh, you know what I'm saying? Like, oh, you're real well spoken, you know what I mean? Like, take care of yourself, you dress nice or whatever too. And so sometimes cats, even though I'm bigger, they think I'm soft or whatever too. And I'm like, bro, I will really fuck you up at a moment's notice. You know what I'm saying? Anybody who knows me knows that though. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm licensed as fuck. Like, I could really knock somebody the hell out. I choose not to, but when they just go based off like physical appearance and what they see, that's it. They have no idea. And that's the problem. We believe what we see based on stereotypes that we see in movies, TV, media, stuff like that. And that's the reality situation. And the reality situation is in the movies and the medias, the geeky, weak guy who gets beat up in movies ever since we were 6, 7 years old was always wearing glasses.
No, so like I get what you're saying, but I'm talking about so like that situation makes sense. But let me give you a situation that I dealt with growing up, and
okay.
To this day, I'm sure I would probably deal with the same thing. So like, let's say there's like you're picking teams for like basketball, football, whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you got like me wearing glasses and a t-shirt or whatever, right? T-shirt that's like not showing any muscles, shit like that, just a basic t-shirt.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got the other dude over there who's like, he was like wearing athletic gear, but his pants is sagging. He clearly looks skinny. Looks like he probably just finished a joint. Growing up or even recently, I feel like that person would get picked and it wouldn't be based off of anything that makes sense outside of like he looks quote unquote cool or some stupid shit like that. Like, but it isn't anything valid. Like to me, so like give examples. Like You picking like a bigger guy and a smaller guy, but the small guy being stronger, I'm gonna be like, whatever. You didn't know that. At least they both look athletic.
True.
But when
True.
they both, but you're picking it off some like just completely moronic. I'm just like, how did you pick either one? How did you like? To me, it's just a toss up. But it seems like
No,
consistently you pick you know what I mean? You pick the other person consistently. But it's to me, it's a toss up because there's no reason to think either one of them are athletic.
yeah, no, absolutely not, right? But again, that's what human beings do, right? We fill in the blanks with what information we already have on hand, right? So it's like, okay, cool. If this basketball, you know what I mean? He got on fresh J's, he got on whatever, right? Now, real ballers know that usually that's not the ones that actually come to the court like that or whatever, right? But somebody who
Yeah,
doesn't
yeah.
know, you know what I'm saying? With somebody who doesn't know, because you know most cats who come, like even like on the Air Force base or like on base, whatever. When cats like you know what I'm saying come like run pickup games, it's usually dude who comes to fucking you know what I'm saying to the court with fucking slides on, some socks, right, t-shirt, you know what I'm saying, like you know maybe like a do rag or wave cap on, who waits to put his shoes on at the fucking basketball court. That cat balls, right? But the nigga
Yeah,
who come in with fresh
or the guy that looks like Adam
J's and all the
Sandler.
matching, all of come in with all this matching gear, whatever. I'm like, bro, like I know you can't ball because you're trying too hard to look like you can ball. If you really can ball, you can ball. You know what I'm saying? But cats who don't on a regular basis, right? Who who don't ball on a regular basis, like go based off of like whatever they have, you know, in their head, right? From whatever movie or TV show, BT, whatever the fuck it is. And that's just how people are.
Yeah,
It's
that
not
makes
right.
sense.
It's yeah, it's not right, like I said before, but that's how human beings are. Like if we don't know anything about a specific group, we're gonna fill in the information with whatever we already have on hand. If we have nothing whatsoever about that person, then we gonna make up some shit. I'm trying to tell you right now. Because let me tell you something right now. You can go right now. You can go fucking midget right now. I'm dead. So you can go fucking midget, and they can stick your finger in your ass, and I guarantee you can tell everybody else, right? Not that that one midget stuck his finger up in the ass. You can say, yo, did you know that midgets like to stick their fingers up your asses? Just because it's like you've never had any other experience with that specific
Yeah.
group. That's just how that's how
I mean, that
people are.
makes sense. I guess for me, I just don't operate like that. Like I'm not gonna assume like I'm gonna be like, all right, well, we about to warm up. I need to see what y'all look like before I pick. I'm not just picking off of nothing. I need to see how you warm up.
See,
Like,
but the difference between you and most people, and me and most people that I had to learn as I got older too, is that this like box, right? And I call it the black box. I don't give a fuck what nobody got to say. And I am still black. Make no mistake about that. Whatever, right? But that box, right? We're not in that box, right? And I'll use this as a comparison for all my fucking anime fans and stuff, right? Naruto, for example, is one of my favorite animes, right? One of the main tragedies that happened inside the Naruto place in the Naruto community was the side character Sasuke, right? He came from a clan, which clan is essentially a family, which is kind of weird. It is a clan, but whatever, right? He came from a family. Sasuke was the youngest in the entire clan. His older brother ended up murdering his entire clan, his entire family, mom, dad, cousins, aunts, uncles, everything, right? And it comes out the reason why he ended up doing this was to prevent a war because the Uchiha, right, his clan was fed up with the current state of affairs in the village or the country and everything like that, or you know what I mean, and they had just had it, and he knew that he'd seen war at a very young age, right? Itachi, Sasuke's older brother, he knew that if they was going to go to war, it was going to be so many lives lost and it wasn't going to be good for anybody, so he ended up killing those people, right? Now Itachi was unique, like unlike most of the Uchiha clan, he didn't feel any trappings to his own specific clan, right? So that way he had a clear head and he can make the best decision. His best friend, also Shisui of the Uchiha, also right could make clear decisions, and he didn't feel any trappings towards his clan. He loved his family, right, and he loved his village. He loved everybody, right, but he didn't feel any you know irrational loyalty towards like his family, that he couldn't make the best decision for everybody involved, right? Or specifically himself, right? And I think that a lot of times it's like black people, right? It's a very similar situation when it comes to like Itachi or like Shishui, right? We compare it to ourselves, especially as black people, especially as black men. So, oh, you're supposed to do this. You're supposed to be a thug. You're supposed to be a criminal. You're supposed to have a criminal record, right? Or you know what I'm saying? Like, if you're a real nigga, then you got to do this or whatever, right? And so then we pin ourselves like in this box, right? And if you can just get outside of that box, you'd be surprised what you can do in life. And I used to think like that for a short amount of time in high school. And then I remember when I got out of high school, I was just was like I would meet cats who also I thought like that, but then I would see them in college at ODU, wherever else, and cats that you were the biggest motherfuckers, like assholes in all of like high school, right? And then not even a year later, they completely switched up on me. So I was like, so inherently, those people, right, knew that the picture that they were painting of themselves was not correct or adequate enough to get by in life or to be successful in life. So as soon as I took myself out of
Yeah, that
that
makes
box, that's
sense.
when I
I mean,
started doing
that's a good
better in
story. I
life.
mean, that makes sense. Yeah, I mean, I just think this shit's funny. Like, it doesn't personally bother me. I just don't, I just don't understand it. Like, I understand the way you explain it. I just don't think like that. I'm just like, fucking idiot. You have nothing. You have basis. You have no basis. So just shut the fuck up.
I don't know. Yeah, you know what I mean? And that's just kind of like how, like, you know what I mean? Let's, but right back to the topic, like, are you black enough, right? Oh, you ain't black if, you know what I'm saying? If you don't listen to Frankie Beverly and Maze at every cookout, you know what I'm saying? Or, or even to that one is like, oh, okay, well, if you pick the Beyonce edition of, you know what I'm saying, Before I Let Go, then you ain't really black. Like, I'm like, and make no mistake, I like both.
Well,
But anybody
I guess for
say
me,
the
like though, like
Beyonce,
so like
right,
to
did
me, the
not
are you
kill that
black enough
fucking version,
discussion
I'm like, nigga,
is like
you tripping,
because the
bro.
question is
Like that shit was fresh.
um
Like I don't care what nobody
open ended. It's like so
say,
it's
that
on a
shit
spectrum, right? It's not
was
a yes or
fresh
no
as
answer.
fuck,
So
right?
like technically speaking, you can make the
But that's how it
case.
is,
I
right?
don't like
If you're
going down this
black, you
route. I think
got
it's ignorant. You can make the case that there is a spectrum and a limit to are you black enough, right? And you can make the case that there are certain things that black people technically do, but I don't think as a community though we should shun or make fun of people because they don't do it. So like people are like, man, what are we gonna say? Yeah.
I think that I think that laughable at the same time. People always make fun of what they don't understand. People all, you ever heard that saying, the nail that sticks out is the one that gets hammered, right? Just how it is. So one person is going against the status quo, they think it's weird, blah, 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 whatever, right? Those people, right, are going to make fun of that person because it goes against what
Yeah,
they
that's true.
believe, right? It goes against the norm, right? It goes against everything that they've been brought up to, raise to believe in. You know what I mean? So I understand what you're saying, but to an extent, it's kind of like, and even if it is for the betterment of the community, you know what I mean? One of the biggest issues within the black community is us. Like we can't get out of our own ways sometimes. You know what I mean? Women, but it does kind of come a time where you have to take accountability for your action and say, okay,
Yeah, I
cool.
mean, hard work always
Yeah,
beats out
is it going to be
talent
a little bit harder for me? Absolutely,
every
but
time.
even though it's going to be harder for me, that's not an excuse for me to not, do the best that I can do.
No, you good. I mean,
If
like
you
a
know
perfect
that
example of what we're talking about is
you
like,
have struggle, if you know that you have
but
problems with
like
math,
like one of the things
right?
about
Are
being
you
like,
only
are
going
you
to
black enough,
do
right?
the
You got to
same
have the
amount of
fly
work
shoes, right?
as people
Dude, I fucking
who
hate
don't have
shoes.
problems with
Like,
math? What are you
it's
going to do
because right. So like, I like them.
more
I
so that
like
way
the
you can at least
Jordans.
meet them or
I like the
exceed them,
Nike Air
right? Are
Maxes.
you
I
going
like the Reebok. I
to
mean,
study
with the Adidas.
more? To get there, you're just
Where the
going to do
fuck
the
them
bare
shoes is
minimum like
called? I mean,
everybody
I'm
else is
into that
doing and
shit
hope
too,
that you
right?
pass. You see what I'm
But
saying?
it always bothers the shit out of me
Every
when I
time.
see
Every
people
time.
who
Yeah.
I know
Yeah. And that was a hard lesson
like
I had to learn over my life.
can't
You know what I mean?
can't aren't able to
But
buy
yeah,
a
sorry, I
home,
cut you off. Go ahead.
got fucked up credit, or can't do this and can't do that, but got fly ass shoes on. Like I don't understand that shit. Like I just don't get it. Like, and I guess like maybe if I talk to somebody I'd understand it, but to me it just, and I guess maybe it's just a difference of prioritization. Like I prioritize like my living situation. So like where I live at, can I go on lavish vacations? Can I do like really cool outdoor experiences that like, I can keep I'll have in my mind until the day I die over materialistic things. So maybe it's a difference in just how we view what's important. But to me, I just can't understand like stuff like cars being important or things like shoes. Because to me, the moment you put them on, they just lose their value. So it just doesn't work. It doesn't compute.
So, so I think the problem is, and I didn't realize this until later in life, right? Is that when we look at it and we're looking at pleasure or dopamine, right? For example, and I can say this because I did a lot of experimenting in like my early 20s, right? God, it sounds terrible saying that. So some people look at momentary pleasure, right? The day-to-day pleasure, right? So you ever see a guy who already has like a bunch of different kids and stuff like that, and you see he's just trying to bag a bunch of different women and stuff like that because he's more focused on the momentary, pleasure or the dopamine fix of just getting said pussy or whatever, or just being able to pull. You know what I'm saying? Like, females and all this extra jazz and stuff like that. And in the biggest problem in on our community, especially as far as like the men go, is that if we can ignore the momentary pleasure, then we would set ourselves up for success in the later, right? There are certain people who again don't fall into those traps, right? Who are okay to look at who are actually wired correctly, in my opinion, to look at the bigger picture. Right now, I'm not saying becoming a complete minimalist and like Jeff Bezos or Gary Vee and just like I'm saying work your entire 20s and 30s to just grind it out and not have any fun. And I'm not saying that, right? But I definitely think that like maybe like an 80%, leisure vacation and stuff like that. But conversely, most people are doing it the opposite way. They're doing 30% work, right? And when I say work, I'm not talking about your job because you can go to a job and work 40, 50, 60 hours a week and never get anywhere. And that's what people don't want to understand. Like those days of like where, Ford Company, for example, right? And this is actually true. Ford Company back in like the 40s and the 50s, right? They paid a good living wage. And when they asked Henry Ford, right, why that was because he wanted all of his employees to buy Ford, vehicles. But he realized that in order to do that, he would have to put a decent amount of money in their pockets so that way they could actually, afford to buy it. So that's all like when you would go to towns, right, that were Ford was like prevalent, right? And then they saw somebody not driving a Ford, vehicle, they'd be like, yo, fuck this faggot, blah, blah, right? All this like crazy shit or whatever, right? You know what I mean? Because they were super proud of the fact that like not only could they pay a living wage, but they had a decent car, house, kids, stuff like that. Those times are gone. And people want to say, but capital is king at this point. And in order to, do well in life, you have to get creative, multiple streams of income, like stuff that we already know. Gary Vee, Mark Cuban, like all these sharks and stuff like that tell us all the time, but people don't really listen to it. So that's the problem. Like people are trying to get it before they're trying to spend it before they get it. You know what I mean? And then they look at it as, hey, I can die any day, which is true. You can die any day. So that's why you still need to take time and like all the roses, right? And I equate that to like training, right?
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree with that.
Sometimes
I agree with what you're
week,
saying. And to me, like,
not doing anything, just chill, relax,
like,
kick
I can understand
days,
that. I feel like as if
watch
people
anime all day, have a good cheat day. You know what I'm
because
saying?
you think about it, like,
and it's not. That's not just to like,
I mean, hell,
cut
even
my muscles
70, 80 years ago,
like
people
relax.
weren't living
That's
into
good for
their
like
70s on average.
psyche, and so that my dopamine
And
levels can
usually
like
when you were
reset as
living,
well
like you were
too.
living on a farm
So
and you
I
would have
think that's
kids
where
to
it's
help
like
you
if
take care of the farm. There
we
was
could
no
just find like a
vacations.
good
It was
like
a
middle
hard life. You were
ground,
working
right,
all
between like
day and
being
trying to go catch
completely
some fucking
minimalist, not having any
rabbit,
fun between your 20s and
catching
30s,
measles and
which to me is
shit.
dumb as fuck because it's like
You know
those
what
are
I
your
mean?
best
Like,
years. You say what you
it
want,
wasn't
your
this
20s
cool
to your
thing, but with
30s are
modern
your best years you're
technology
ever going to
and
have,
modern
right?
modern
If you just completely
advancements,
throw those away and just grind
now
it out,
everyone thinks
while
that
it
they
may
should be able
be
to, by 25, be a
in 50s and
multi-millionaire, be in
60s and
Dubai every
70s, right? But then at
week,
that point,
going
you're
to
really kind of
Ibiza,
like
this
too
and
old to
that. And
kind
I'm
of
like,
like,
that's not how, like,
do the things that you always wanted to
that's like a new
do. You know what I
concept, and
mean?
it's a
So I
rare
think
thing to
that's
achieve that.
where people kind of get
But my thing
lost.
is like,
If
my
it
thing is like, if you
makes
have
any
that, I don't have a
sense.
problem with it. What I have a problem with is that people in our community, on average, at least what I see, try to live like that. And it's just like, why are you trying to live like that? You're nowhere near that. You should be trying to, like, to your point, spend your 20s or 30s building yourself up, and then be able.
Nope.
And then my thing is, if you building yourself up, you can, as you're building up, buy those things. I'm not saying don't buy those things. I'm saying
Yep.
like, what I'm saying
Nope.
is, I don't want to, like, if you
Mm-hmm.
if I catch you online or I catch you talking about I need money or I need this, but you got some Jordans on, you look like a fucking idiot. Unless you have some type of extreme situation, maybe you like lost your job or your business went under or you broke your back or something. That's different, right? But just the average everyday person who makes these poor decisions, it's just like, I just cannot understand it. And it's like, again, it's all that kind of shit. It's baby daddy shit. Is buying cars, walk around with fucking $700, $1,000 car payments. What are you like? What? Why are you driving around with $1,000 fucking car payment?
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and true, right? But and again, right? So part of it comes to do with age, experience, stuff like that. Sometimes it comes to do with the fact that you're not happy in life with whatever decisions that you've made, but you already made them. So you're trying to or not. Is that a lot of people are sheep, and I feel bad saying that though. So if you have a small, if you have a group of people on TV or radio, social media who are saying like, "Hey, I did this and I ball out, blah blah blah, whatever." Uzi, all these like little young niggas and shit like that or whatever, right? Rapping and making break, and they're making money. You know what I'm saying? And then if they're listening to those people, right, they're going to be the people who that they like, okay, well, if they're doing this stuff, whatever, they're only been rapping a couple of years, then I can do the same thing or whatever, right? They want to emulate those people. Conversely, like the Gary V's, right? And the reason why I keep using Gary V is because Gary V has a very unique perspective that's actually a lot closer to your perspective than, I know you did. So I'm not trying to feel like y'all exactly the same, and you always say fuck or anything like that. But I'm saying the fact that he was okay with grinding it out between his 20s and like early 30s. So now that he's about 40 years old, I want to say that he can reap the rewards and the fruits and stuff like that. So conversely, right, because we as human beings usually do try to seek some type of pleasure on a day-to-day basis, right, to distract ourselves from the fact that eventually one day we're going to die and all of our labors return to dust. We're depressing shit, but that's just the reality of the situation, right? So if you got one group of people that's over here partying, living it up, taking drugs, drinking and shit like that or whatever, right? But you still want to get rich. You see somebody else who's telling you how they got rich, right? And they're saying, well, I didn't go out, I didn't do anything, I just grinded my 20s and 30s out. Most people don't have the mental fortitude, right, to really, do that. They don't want to do it, right? Same thing. Everybody want to get, be Chris Bumstead fucking buff. But you like look at his story and you look at what he had to do, and that he's still young. He's 26 years old, right? You know what I mean? He stopped partying, he stopped drinking, even when he was living with all his buddies and stuff like that. When he was getting ready for the season, he couldn't go out to eat. He couldn't drink. He was just like chilling in his room, right? Come down, the meal prep, and like stuff like that. So that's what I'm saying. It's the issue, right? They look at long term money, right? And you know the difference between fast money and long money, right? Who know how to do it and build success from the ground up. Even if they were to lose
No, I
everything
definitely
today,
agree
they
with
will
you.
be
And
able to
it
get
kind of
it back
like
like that because of their
which the
mindset.
thing you were talking
Then
about
you
the
got
young
somebody
dudes
else
and everything
who,
about this.
if we're also being
So I
honest,
think
is
there's a video that
kind of like,
Matt Walsh put out about a year
a
ago.
clown, in my opinion,
He was
right? I'm not saying that like
reviewing
Uzi and whatever, right? You know what I'm saying? Some of them, absolutely. I don't give a fuck. I say what I
but he
say,
was
right?
reviewing this
But you know what I mean?
the
Who
Lil
are
Baby
just
and
like, playing the
said
part,
dude's
right?
name.
And you see this now on the versus battle, right? Prime example, like
he's funny
Omarion,
dude
right?
from
And
Atlanta.
Mario,
Him
right?
and
That shit was terrible.
the
Prime
guy name
example,
was
Omarion
42
could not sing to
Doug,
save his
Doug with
life,
two
right?
G's.
And then I was talking to my
So the
wife,
song is
right,
called
who
We
is a
Paid.
singer who can
It's
sing
called
very
We
well, right?
Paid,
And she
right?
straight up told me,
And it's basically
she's
them.
like,
They
yeah,
just
when I
like
work a
driving around in
vocalist and
Corvettes and shit in
stuff like that,
Atlanta,
it's
doing
like you'd
burn
be
house
surprised how
and
many of
drinking
them
and smoking weed and shit, right?
people. The only reason
so,
why they got
so
signed was because
Matt
they
is
had a look.
reviewing the video. You know,
They
Matt
had a
has that
look,
like
and then they were going to work
dry humor, and he
with you,
just
going to
like
give you
he's just stating facts, and the shit's funny.
auto-tune, whatever they need to do, right?
so
Even though they couldn't really
he says
sing.
like at the end
You
of
know
it,
what I
he's
mean?
like,
So
you
Mario's
know
career was
what?
a lot
We never
better
found
than
out
Mario's
why
career,
they
for
were
being
paid.
honest.
And the
But it
song
didn't
is
change
called
the
We
fact
Paid.
that like Mario still had more talent in that
And
situation.
it's that
You
kind
know
of
what I
shit
mean?
that when he
And I
said
think
that, I was
that
like, you know
that's
what?
kind of
That's
like,
how I
the
think.
issue is
When
that
I
they're looking
watch
at
shit
these little
like
young
that, like
motherfuckers who are just getting
if
paid
you're
at
a
22,
young person
23
who's
years
just
old, right?
impressionable,
And
just
then
getting
also
things,
listen to
you
these
just you
like
don't really
40,
ask
50
those
year olds,
questions.
you
You
know what I
just see,
mean,
okay,
who
well,
were
he's
telling
doing X, Y,
them
and
what they
Z.
had to do in order to
Well,
get
let
there.
me
They're
go
like,
do
I don't
that.
want
And
to
you
do
rather
that.
them to do
I don't
rap.
want to, spend
But you don't
my
ask
good
the
years, 22
questions
days of
about
grinding it out
like
and not being able to go out and
the
drink and
people
party and do whatever the fuck
started
I
like
want to do,
who
right?
were like
I'm gonna let you keep doing this.
living
I'm gonna
in
keep on pretending like I got it,
I forget
even
the
when I
woman's name,
don't.
but I think she's the
You see what I'm
CEO of
saying?
YouTube, living in her garage, or Gary V hitting the pavement, past trying to do marketing like hand to hand, or looking at or Jeff Bezos with all them fucking books in his apartment. you don't see that shit. You see the end product. So you're thinking, well, I'm just gonna go rap.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
Yo, no, dude, you gotta fucking
he
rap all
wild,
the
bro.
time.
He
You gotta
wild,
be out
bro.
here talking to like label exec, not even know. You're talking to some low level dude trying to get him to be like, all right, I'm gonna take you to my manager.
Which one's Lil Baby?
I'm
Is
gonna
that
take
the
you
light
to his
skin one?
manager. You know what I'm saying? You gotta do this shit for years. People don't see that. They just want to be
Yeah.
lazy, and then they just think like, oh yeah,
Because it's the baby.
I'm gonna get this. And I feel like to an extent, you kind of get a
Okay,
little bit of
yeah.
money, or maybe you kind of get lazy or whatever. You start doing things that don't make sense, like buying stuff you can't afford yet, or just trying to be flashy, almost like try to like compensate for why you're not there yet. It's like, yo, just slow down, hit the brakes, just grind, man. I ain't got no problem with rappers like at all. But just seeing people thinking it's just easy. And like, see your point about singers, like, yo, you gotta have a look, you gotta get lucky. That shit is, you gotta be real lucky to be a successful rapper.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that's my thing too, with like the music industry is like all these dudes I want to be rappers, man. Why don't you be a sound engineer or some shit, or be like an executive or whatever else the fuck they got going on in there that make good money? Fuck trying to be a rapper. I'm trying to work on the keyboard and shit. Like,
True.
Or I don't know, songwrite, something else.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. You know what I'm saying? Prime example. That's like Ronnie Coleman. He always said, he said, everybody want to get big, but don't nobody want to lift heavy ass weights, though. Right? It's just how it is. I mean, it's the truth. You know what I mean? It's all that because it's that box. It's that box though. It's that box. People box themselves in. People try to say everybody else put them in a box, and sometimes people will try to put you in a box, but sometimes people box themselves in though, especially in our community when it comes to like black males and like black women. And it's just like super sad. It's like super unfortunate. Like you can be like, you know, I had cats tell me, it's like, oh, I didn't think you'd be, you know, how you are, right? And it's funny, like white people, right? And it's like, I was like, oh, what do you mean? Right. And I do. I fuck with them. I fuck with them super hard to get. Well, what do you mean? I don't understand. I play dumb as hell. I'm like, what do you mean? Well, you know
I
what I'm
agree,
saying. You
man.
know, I
And
just
let me
thought you'd
like
be.
you over
Well,
here
no, I don't
dropping
understand.
gems. Let me give you another.
What did you
Let me
think I
give you
was gonna
another
be,
like
John?
ignorant ass
What did you think I was gonna be?
thing I've
You know what I mean? I do.
experienced,
I fuck
right?
with them. It's and the
So
reality is, it doesn't actually
typically, I'm
bother
not the
me. It's
kind of
just
dude that like
it's
attracts like
comical
hood
to
chicks,
me. You
right?
know what I mean? And you know,
But
we'll
let me
get to
tell you this
talking and like
though.
stuff like that. I just didn't
When
even
I
think
was
you'd
younger
be
and I
like. I'm
was
like, what
like doing
is, you
shit I
know,
was not supposed to be doing,
is what is
it's in those
educated
moments
as
when
I
I would
am, is
attract
well
them.
spoken as I am, like that. You know,
Yep.
like pop or
And
country or you
and
know
I had a pretty
anime
good
or
success rate at that too,
whatever, right? You know what I mean?
which is
And because
really
people do,
sad to be
people
real.
look at
Because mind you,
you and
like
they make snap
like I
decisions
know
right
who
away.
I am, so like
What they think
they're
that you're going
seeing
to be
another
like.
side of me.
And
I'm just
that's not
like,
a bad thing. I don't
damn,
really personally care if
that
people
shit
make a
that's
snap
what got
decision
you.
based on like what they see,
That's
because
crazy.
what
I'd
they
be
see
like
and what they
laughing
get
in
is
my head. I'm
always
like,
going to be different.
and here's the
Now,
thing too.
again,
Like I wouldn't even
where
necessarily be
it can
pursuing
be an
them.
issue is, and
They
I've
just
said this
like that
before,
energy, and it's
the most
crazy.
dangerous
Like
people
so,
in the
like when
world
I
are the
hear
people who
things
lie
of
to
like
themselves. Every time.
the lanes or
Every
whatever,
single
people
time, the
like, man, I
most
can't
dangerous
get
people are
girls,
the
I can't
people who
get
lie to
this. I'm
themselves.
like,
So
yo,
you tell yourself you can't do this
I
because I'm
guarantee you, if
black,
you
or
change
because
your
the system
personality,
is
which
set
I
up
don't
this way,
suggest you
blah, blah,
doing,
blah, right?
it would
If
be
you said to
different
yourself,
for
like,
you.
hey,
It'd be
this
different.
is going to be
Like in
harder
general, if
for
you
me
got
to
like a
do it
height and
because of,
decent looks and shit like
unfortunately,
that, it'd be
the
different.
fact
Which
that
is
I'm
crazy because
disadvantaged
the shit I'm talking about, I was doing
in,
like
you
again,
know,
I
my
do not
money, my
suggest people doing that. Like it wasn't like
finances, right? My
it wasn't
community,
like I was
the
bettering
fact,
myself.
you
It
know,
was embarrassing, you
I
know.
having pops growing up, whatever, right? But I'm still going to do it, and I'm going to do it to the best of my ability. That's completely different from saying that, hey, I can't do this. You know what I mean? And if you just get in the practice of like doing that, you know what I mean? One of the most famous things that I never forgot to this day was like, he who says he can and he who says he can't are both usually right. And it's true. Every time I've ever been, probably every time I've been in the gym, and I thought right before, like I was about to, do a set, right? I'm like, man, I ain't gonna hit this shit. Guess what happened? I didn't hit it. But if I went to that set, like, yo, I can hit this shit. I know I can fucking hit this shit. Has it happened where I haven't hit it?
Yeah.
Absolutely. But more often than not, if I've done the work, the preparation, stretched,
No, you can. Yeah, you keep going. Sorry,
hydrated,
man.
well rested, ate enough food to, I hit that fucking weight though. You see what I'm saying? And people don't want to. It's so sad and so unfortunate between like the black community that we are some of the most resilient people to ever walk this earth, and yet and still like people just don't believe on a regular basis. Like men don't believe on a regular basis that we are
Yeah, I
really
definitely
like
think like people
capable of
like you and
doing
me in
like
our
scary,
generation, like being able to
life
speak
changing,
up
life altering,
and be
things.
positive influences will help. But it's going to take generation after generation of that, and we gotta like. And to me, like we gotta overcompensate. We gotta do extremely well, right, to get past the forces that are like promoting. Because like for example, let's give you an example, right? Like
Yeah, you're not.
social.
Yeah, you're
So
not.
you
You're
probably heard
not.
people complain about like the dating apps. They'll say they're racist, right? So like
Yes, we all did.
why are black women not being promoted to the top?
Yeah,
Why are white guys being promoted to the top? You heard of that, right?
I believe
And
it.
so
I
my
do.
thinking
I
is
believe it. But that's
people click and like what they
That's a
like, right? So it's not racist. That's just what people like. That's just a fact of what they like. It's their preference, right? So to me, to kind of get past a lot of these "Are you black enough?" issue stereotypes is people like you and me have to overcome so much and they really be able to help get people and create content and do things that get people to start to think and feel comfortable not being sheep, getting them to be able to be comfortable being who they are,
yeah.
getting out of that box, getting out of that
Yep.
comfort zone and feeling comfortable being different. And then once they realize that, and eventually to me, what would happen is you'd realize that everyone is different and that's okay. Like everyone don't have to fucking like Beyonce. You ain't gotta. Yeah, everybody gotta fucking like
Yeah, of course.
basketball. But like right now, it's just like you get this mindset of like that's what to your point earlier. That's what my grandmother did. That's what my mama did. So you just keep seeing it. You see it. You liking it. Everybody's doing it. You just like, oh shit. Well,
I
I
know.
guess I should be a baby mama. Like that's
Don't incriminate
why would I get
yourself,
married?
sir.
That doesn't make sense.
Don't incriminate.
So I just think
Yeah.
like that those
Yeah.
positive
Yeah. No, I feel you.
influences
I do.
but in
And like
a
I said, from
creative
like me coming
manner
up,
is what's
like, you know what I'm saying, with a
important. Like
bunch
it
of different
can't just
phases
be
and stuff
like
like that, and somehow I
because
ended up
people aren't gonna
here.
watch like
You know what I mean? But yeah, you're right, man.
people
You
aren't
know,
gonna
I'm a big
watch
guy, so
like
like naturally,
I'm
like
sure
little
you
chicks
probably
love me.
aware
It
you
was like,
probably
oh
know who
yeah,
Thomas
thug,
Sowell
eat
is,
this,
the
blah blah blah
economist.
blah. I'm like, nigga, I'm over here reading
Like
Harry Potter. Fuck is you
like
talking
black
about, dog?
not black people, just
Like,
people in
you
general.
know,
They're not gonna go look that dude up to go hear his
it's just
perspective
how it
on different
goes. It
social
really is.
topics and
It's just how it goes, and it's really sad. And
economic
it's
topics,
unfortunate.
right? They're not gonna go
But I
do that. They're
think
gonna
that
go on YouTube or Instagram and
there's
see
a
the
lot of
guy in the
progress
Lambo
if
talking
we can like
about,
just have like
oh
a
yeah,
little
how
bit of
can you
like
make
like
$6,000 a
transparency
week?
and like
That's what
self-reflection,
they're gonna listen to.
and whatever
So
the
you got to figure out
issues
ways to
are,
take
and if we can
actual
just turn the
information and
fucking
then
radio off and the fucking
curate it
off,
in a way
like I
that's
like
that's likable that people can digest. But you're fighting against, to your
no,
point
I thought
earlier,
you was
fighting
going.
against that whole like I want it now mentality. I want it now. So it's tough.
Yeah,
I
but
think
you know what I'm
I
saying?
know
Like
we
I'm
can
just
do it,
like
and that
you
it's
ain't gotta
not
be
to
a
be
ball player, you gotta
perfect.
be a rapper,
But I
you know what I'm
think for me,
saying?
I just
Like,
want
you know
our
what I mean?
community
Like
to be in a place where I can
and
be
how you
like,
start isn't always gonna
dang, you know
how
what?
you
I am
finish.
seeing more people
Right?
making
You
better
know what I mean? And
decisions,
that's like
like
the biggest thing. And then that's
prioritizing long
you
term,
know,
about their long
current
term health,
generation to the generation
prioritizing Black
behind
families,
us and
like
generation behind us.
just
Like we should be
improving,
getting
and they
better.
got
We
to
should
just
be
start
learning from
making
their mistakes
improvements. Is
and
all I
getting better.
ask
That's
for.
what you should want. But you know, I don't know, dog. Like I said before, I don't really
Yeah,
know,
yeah,
man. So, you know, am I black? Yeah. It's your generation. Yeah. Yeah, I've heard of it. Yeah. Yeah. Period. Especially women. There you go.
yeah, definitely. I know I'm Black enough, but not by what society standards are. I'm Black enough because I'm a free thinker.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, I got nothing to add. They say, yeah, just check out
Over and
my
over
Instagram,
again.
my YouTube, and check all of our Instagram and YouTube on Common Sense and follow the podcast and
Yeah.
just stay
Yeah.
plugged in, man. We dropping quality content you won't find nowhere else. Stay tuned.
Yeah. Nope. There you go.